Hi, I'm Pieterjan. I'm product marketeer at Sensolus, and welcome to a new episode of Track and Talk, our show where we keep track on how IoT can help you to make all your assets visible from a small box to a giant container. And today I'm joined by Steven, VP Engineer at Sensolus. Welcome. Steven, I always start with the same question in this podcast. What gives you the energy in personal life? Because battery life is important for Sensolus, but I also want to know from my colleagues what gives them the energy.
Well, actually, I like to play padel.
Padel, all right.
So like so many people, I started in the COVID area. I'm a former squash player, but now I have like two groups of padel players playing twice a week, and it fits my age, the sport.
It gives you the energy.
It gives me the energy, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, good to know. Now, today we will talk about making friends in IoT. What we mean by that is how we set up integrations with our platform and who can benefit from that and how it works. It's important to understand that there's a two-way connectivity. So on the one hand, we bring data from other platforms in the Sensolus platform. Also the other way around, we bring data to other platforms that our clients work with.
All right.
I would suggest we start with the first one, how we enrich the Sensolus platform with data coming from external parties. And I would ask you first to give some examples just to set the scene here.
Okay, good question.
Yeah.
And so if you get our platform initially, what you basically see is a set of our trackers, where they are, where they've been.
Yeah.
But of course, in the real context, it's not about the tracker, but it's about the asset to which the tracker is connected, like this waste bin.
Okay.
And so one of the primary things which people do is to start enrich the data of that tracker with metadata of the actual asset. What's the name of it? Give it an icon, give it an image. Okay. Where is it going to? Where it has been? Yeah. And so that when you access the platform, you know what it means in your business. Okay. And that's the primary use case.
Yeah. All right. And what's then the extra layer of data we can add from external platforms? I think what shipment?
It's very rich. It's we have a very flexible data format, and so you can enhance it with destination data, shipment data, who's the owner, damage reports. So whatever you want to link to the tracker and make visible in the Sensolus platform can be attached to it.
Okay.
And actually where the API, and because that's where we started from, why to do integrations, for some customers that relation is fairly static. And it's something which you can set up once and you just do it by hand. But it gets really interesting if we're talking about things which are dynamic. And that's where the whole API integration comes into the picture.
Yeah, all right. And also where you bring the efficiency and the productivity of the integrations in the business of our
because
clients.
When you enrich it with that specific data, you can set up alert rules, you can set up automatic filters, dashboarding. I'd like to give you a good example. We have a customer that wants to notify its end user when assets are arriving towards that end user.
Okay.
So how do they do that? When they know where an asset is going, they create on the fly a geozone in the platform.
On the fly, so
through API.
Okay.
So there's an API call creating a geozone. There's a second API call to create an alert rule, which will generate an email when the asset is inside that geozone.
Okay.
And when they go to the next shipment, through API, they break down that whole infrastructure again.
Okay.
And so there's a very dynamic creation of entities and rules in the platform based on where assets are going. The end result is the final customer, he gets notified in time when a shipment is inbound to his location. Yeah,
all right. So the human error is minimized.
Exactly.
And it's automated. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what I'll take away are two things. So two things to remember. We can import data like shipment information, but other kind of data into our platform, fully automatic. But also we can generate geozones or zones on platform on the fly, using the API.
Exactly. One of the questions we get very often from people who start doing integration is they've looked at our platform and then they're asking like, but what can I do with the API? Right? And the simple question is basically, whatever you see and you can do manually by hand, there is one way or the other to do that through the API. And so what you can do manually, there is a way to get that flow automated as well.
It's correct to say that it's API first. That's our philosophy. All the things you see on the platform can be delivered through API. Almost everything.
That's a very interesting statement you bring here. We have some people who really think like as a mutually exclusive choice, right? what should I do? What should I do? Yeah. Should I use your platform or should I use my platform and do everything through API? And honestly, I think in reality, the answer is you typically do a bit of both.
Yeah. Okay.
Why is that? And then actually, then I think we're slowly getting into part two, because I think normally you do the transitions.
That's perfect. Right? Steven, you're in the lead.
But now we're going in. How can I get data from the Sensolus platform into my other platform?
Yeah.
Right. And that's where that whole, what should I do? My platform, your platform? I think a bit of both makes a lot of sense because typically it's a matter of scope of control.
Examples of other platforms. What would I think about?
I have a customer is in waste management. He has an order management system.
Okay, that's typical.
And actually in that order management system, it makes a lot of sense to see where the asset is currently.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Or somebody who's managing folding boxes, you want to see whether the box is folded, yes or no, in the other platform, because it means folded box can be reused.
Yeah.
Open box is in use.
Okay. And I can imagine as a user, I don't want to log in another platform. I just want to use the environment I'm used to.
Exactly. So in that way, you load the data from the Sensolus platform in the other platform. But then again, do you want to load all the data with this full data? No. And that's where there is no conflict between having two platforms. You want the full level of low-level detail, sure, go into the Sensolus platform. But getting that first-level view in your own platform, that absolutely makes sense, right?
And if you talk about setting up this integration, is it hard? Do I need to be really skilled in building integrations, or is it pretty easy?
For the technical folks out there, we have a set of REST APIs with JSON encoding. So it's kind of the standard type of integration technology which is used everywhere. So typically, yes, it's done by an IT team or somebody who's using any of these low-code platforms which actually allow you in a very dynamic way to quickly wire things together. And so for the majority of our customers, integrations goes pretty fast. And actually that's also proven by, in many cases, we're not involved, right? People find the documentation in our platform, they get going. And in the end, we see an integration is happening.
It's almost self-service integration at some level.
Exactly. And if you're really thinking about a really funky scenario, sure, come talk to us and when we can guide you.
Yeah, indeed.
Many people, you look at our platform and they see it as a kind of a reference application. And they say, oh, these are all the things I could do with it. And then they pick and choose what they want to replicate or do in their platform.
Interesting how you stated. The platform can be seen as a menu. And now you can pick what you would like to have, and then you can move on with that.
You can integrate that in your own platform if you want to. It's basically your call to do that.
I can imagine there's a lot of data we have. The sensors, the trackers bring a lot of data. Just a question of how can I visualize it, which brings me to the next topic, like data visualization. I can imagine we can easily use BI tools, for example, to visualize.
Absolutely. So there's a wide variety of BI tools out there, of which we also have examples how to integrate and I think almost everybody uses Office 365, Power BI comes with it. It's very straightforward to wire Power BI directly to our API, which gives the advantage that your Power BI reports are live.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you do an export and you load it in and then you need to repeat that process. No, it's connected directly at API level. So you hit refresh and whatever you want to see is represented live there. But there's a huge diversity of tools out there, but they all are capable of consuming the same types of data which we talked about.
All right. Maybe taking a step back, I can imagine single sign-on is also a common practice on our platform.
Yes, absolutely. It's a bit more in the IT integration space, but exactly. I think every company security is a key topic. So there are basically two ways. Either your user accounts and their credentials, etc., are managed in the Sensolus platform, but our typical advice is you have already a directory, an Active Directory system integrated. It's a few configuration settings to need to be done. And at that moment, all your users are automatically onboarded. They can benefit their same password. They use their multi-factor authentication, which I think is the standards today going forward. So I think it's absolutely, once you progress through that integration of the Sensolus platform in your system, that is something you want to set up at a certain stage.
I can imagine documentation all available on our website. So if people want to find out more, go to the website, check it out?
Absolutely. In our platform, we also have, and again, for the technical people out there is actually a section in the platform where we provide AUI, which is built on a very often used tool called Swagger, which allows you to basically play interactively with the API even before you start writing your own code. And in that page, you see exactly the calls, the payloads, the schemas, the decoding. And so that's the thing which really should get you going. And then people go their own way, right? You're in the Python crew, the Ruby crew, whatever, right? Take your pick, and we have absolutely no preference.
All right. What I'll take away is, so it's pretty easy to bring in data gathered by our trackers and sensors to an external platform. Can be visualized with Power BI tools. And also single sign-on is also something we would advise our clients to do just to make the user management more efficient and very easy.
Absolutely. I think that's a good summary.
I think that was it, Steven. Thanks a lot for your time and your expertise. For everyone, please don't forget to subscribe. You can listen on Spotify or you can watch this episode also on YouTube. Thanks a lot and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.